Hey there, welcome to this episode of the Cutting Room Floor. This is where we get to dig a little bit deeper into a recent message here at Sunny Slope Church. We get to explore a concept or an idea that maybe we just didn't have the time to fully delve into in a message. This gives us an opportunity to go a little further and to look at some of that those rabbit trails. Before I go any further, just a reminder, click like and subscribe so that you can always get these videos and you can continue to join with me as we dig more into God's Word and studying it in greater detail. Most recently here at Sunny Slope, we did a message on the topic of hell and judgment, which of course is a difficult topic for a lot of reasons. And it should be, I think it should be a challenging topic. It should be a difficult topic. One of the things we didn't get much into, we didn't get a whole lot into the following the biblical idea of hell, meaning we didn't really trace all the different things that the Bible talks about when it gets at when it tries to summarize what hell actually is. In English, we talk about the afterlife and the place of punishment. We just use one single word. We use the word hell, and we use that to refer to the place of judgment. In the Bible, there's actually a number of different words that refer to different aspects, and I think it's actually helpful to delve into what those words all are and how they contribute to a more complete understanding and view of what the Bible's actually talking about when it talks about hell. I want to start in the Old Testament. The Old Testament, and maybe to do this, I thought it would be helpful to pull up a picture here of what the Hebrew people, how they viewed and how they understood the universe, and how it's called a cosmology, how they made sense of and how they understood the world in which they lived. I could spend a lot of time on this, and actually I've done a video already on this, so I'm not going to spend too much time reinventing the wheel, but I do want to just take you quickly through this. At the very top, of course, you have God, who is over the entire universe. The Hebrew people, of course, understood that God was in the heavens and that he was over the universe. Now, at the bottom, you have the earth. And of course, in the Hebrew understanding of the world, the earth was flat. And you had mountains and you had the sea, and then you had the waters under the earth as well. So underneath you've got waters that go all the way down. What's sort of interesting, and of course what's very foreign to us, is that the Hebrew people understood that there was a firmament or a dividing line between heaven and earth. So you've got the earth down here, you've got the sky, but then above it you had actually you had heavens, and then you had the heaven of heavens. So you've got like the heavens, and then you've got like the heavens. But between that, you've got this big sort of patch of water. The best way to understand it is to think of that movie, The Truman Show, where you had it was a giant TV studio that was built so that the person living in it, Truman, thought that he was living in his own little world. But really it was this giant dome that had been placed over this little man-made little community that they built. That's how the Hebrew people understood it. So you've got this giant dome that goes over the earth, and then above that dome you've got the waters above. So sometimes you'll hear that language in the Bible that talks about the waters above, or on the earth beneath, or on the waters underneath the earth. Well, that's what it's referring to. And then of course at the bottom you have to have that dome built on something, and so you've got the foundations, and that's what the dome would be established on, the foundations of the heavens. For our purposes here, we go down and we see that under the earth is what's a place called Sheol. Sheol, properly speaking, is not what we think of when we understand what hell is. When we think of hell, we think of the place of eternal judgment. That's not how the Hebrew people would have understood it. The Hebrew people would have understood that simply to be the place, like what we would say today as the grave. And so the psalmist will say, "You will not abandon my soul to Sheol," which is a way of saying ultimately it's a way of saying, even if my body is going down to the grave, my soul will not be abandoned there. My soul will not be left alone in the realm of the dead. So again, just looking out, you can kind of see the Hebrew cosmology, and you can see that the Hebrew people talked about the realm of the dead. That was a place where people would be put in the grave. Now, as you move into the New Testament, you actually find that there are two words that are used to describe what we think of when we think of hell. The first word is the word, you might have heard it before, it's the word Hades. And Hades is really the closest understanding of what the Old Testament concept of Sheol was. So you have Sheol in the Old Testament, the realm of the dead. In the New Testament, it's Hades. Hades is the realm of the dead. But then there's a second word, and that second word is what I want to just draw your attention to right now. That second word is a word is sometimes is transliterated into the English as Gehenna. I'm going to pull the picture up here so you can actually see it. This is a sort of an artist's rendering of what ancient Jerusalem might have looked like. It's sort of a rough drawing. And if you kind of look, I'll pull up my pen here, and that might help me kind of highlight a couple things. Over here, that of course is the Temple Mount. That's where Solomon's temple was built, and the entire temple complex was built. Not too far away, or actually it's opposite end of the city, you have Herod's palace. Over here is where Jesus' crucifixion would have taken place, and so you can kind of see not too far away from the temple across the way, Herod's palace. You see different parts of the city that are labeled here. What's most relevant for us is really two things. Over here is the Mount of Olives, along with what's called the Kidron Valley. Jesus crossed over this area in near when he was being put on trial and arrested and so on. But most relevant here for us is this. The city of Jerusalem is built up on essentially on a very large plateau, or on a mountain, a sort of a mountain. And on a number of sides of it comes down fairly steep. And over on this side here, by the number 1 here, this whole region here is what would have been known as the Valley of Hinnom, or the Hinnom Valley. That was a valley outside the city of Jerusalem, and it became known as a place where the ancient Israelites and the Jewish people expected and anticipated that God was going to bring judgment upon their enemies. I can pull up a couple of other little pictures, which I'll do here in just a quick second. It'll kind of give you a taste of what it looks like, and these are photographs of today. And so just at least to show you what it looks like. This is, you can kind of see, this is the Hinnom Valley. It's a village that's built into the Hinnom Valley. Let me see if I can't pull up one more here for you. It's kind of a big picture view, and it kind of gives you a long view of what Jerusalem is like. And you get this valley. The Mount of Olives is in the background. The Dome of the Rock is right about there. Whoops. Anyways, it gives you a little taste of what this valley looked like. Now, more importantly, is the significance of that valley. That was understood to be the place of judgment. That was understood to be the place where God would finally judge all of the enemies of his people in the Hinnom Valley. Hinnom Valley is then transliterated into Greek to become Gehenna. That's sort of the translation of it. So what that means is that when you understand what you've got sort of two aspects to what death means. On the one hand, death means we are put into the realm of the dead. Physically, you and I will die, and unless the Lord returns, we will be buried. We will go down into Hades in one sense. But God does not abandon his people to Hades. He does not abandon his people to the realm of the dead. He will resurrect us, and he will preserve us and bring us out of death, and we will be spared the judgment that will take place in Gehenna. Gehenna is a way of talking about the eternal judgment that that people who reject God, that's what they will experience. So hell in that sense is the place of eternal rejection of God, a place where people are separated eternally from God. And it's a place where they are then judged and where they are punished for their sins. And that's what God's people will be spared. We may go down into Sheol, into the realm of the dead, but we will not be abandoned to Sheol. We will be resurrected, and we will be spared that judgment, because Jesus entered into that valley, so to speak. He entered into the place of judgment so that we don't have to. And so we are then spared the realities and the punishments of hell. Thanks for watching this episode of The Cutting Room Floor, and we will see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.